Stage 3, another big day in the high mountains for the USA Pro Cycling Challenge. Copper Mountain, the first time departure, heading to Aspen, a ride of 163 kilometers.
Yes, it was straight out of the gun. They left the Copper Mountain Resort behind them, and the first climb of the day coming after just 6 miles of racing to the summit of Fremont Pass. Taylor Finney, in the green jersey, riding at the front, chatting to his teammate, very relaxed before they started this morning, and that was Brent Buckwalter.
But straight onto the Fremont Pass, which would take them up to over 11,000 feet. It wasn't a difficult climb because they started climbing at just over 9,500, but a breakaway was forming on the Fremont Pass and a group of some 11 riders getting clear on the climb. BMC very attentive in the main field. By the time they got to the top, it was a sprint over the top. Daniel Jaramillo taking the sprint ahead of Kyle Murphy of Caja Rural.
Yes, but once they moved over the top of the climb, an 11-man group formed at the head of affairs, starting to establish a lead of around about 4 minutes before they headed down into Leadville for the first Lexus sprint point of the day.
As they raced through there, they didn't even contest the Lexus sprint there, but it was Jesus Hernandez from Tinkoff Saxo who went through there in first place. The next sprint, they moved along flat roads now, and they'd gone towards Twin Lakes, which is at the foot of the Independence Pass. After 64 miles covered, Jaramillo was at the front at the right time. Kyle Murphy was in second, and Laurent Didier of Trek and Luxembourg in third. But now they were on to the Independence Pass, carrying them over 12,000 feet. Laurent Didier heading up alone.
Well, he thought he had a massive advantage over the main field once he topped Independence Pass at 12,095 feet. But on the descent, he was very quickly joined by Lachlan Morton. But there was a lot of reaction coming behind. Most of the pace-making done by Team BMC Racing.
Yes, the leading 11 riders all cracked here. Jack Bobridge down there in the yellow. Dion Smith were trying to make a run for it, but the peloton were now reduced in size but were closing in. And unfortunately for the man out front, the headwind was hurting on the way down to the valley below. All downhill now. The last 20 miles or 32 kilometres was all downhill to the finish. In
the outskirts of Aspen, it looked as if there was going to be a bit of a surprise as Jock Bobridge got himself clear with
Rowan
Dennis, and there was a last-minute attack again by Jelly Belly.
Yes, Lachlan Morton, he'd attacked all of the time, but they wouldn't give him any leeway at all. The headwind was spoiling his moves, and also Gavin Mannion tried as well as he comes up on the right. Jelly Belly, the All-American team in this race, having a superb race, sitting in second place overall in the team competition. Then it was down to the last kilometre of the race, and from 36 riders, the sprinters would have their day.
It looked very much inside of 1 kilometre to go, as if BMC Racing were very much in control. But watch out for the riders in the blue and white jerseys of United Healthcare. They were hungry to get themselves a stage victory.
A break on the right by Logan Owen, but then came the rush as Kyle Rynan was now making the move that he hoped would take out the win. He'd won in Aspen last year, but that was a more or less flat circuit. Now he'd come over Independence Pass and he'd won again, and that was a big win. Banging on his chest there, his wife said ride with your heart, and he'd have done just that. Celebrating there with his teammates who were also in that front group, and so John O'Clark, his teammate, kept his third place overall. But this man here became the new leader in the Lexus points competition as well.
Well, there was no change in the overall standing, still firmly on the shoulders of the BMC rider Brent Buckwalter, just 6 seconds ahead of his own teammate Rowan Dennis. But another day and another one crossed off for Brent Buckwalter in yellow.
Yes, surprisingly, after a day of high mountains, and the highest mountain of this race, which, by the way, they go over on stage 4 again tomorrow in the opposite direction, there was no change in the overall standings. The top 5 riders all finishing in that front group, all holding their places. And looking a little bit further down, Lachlan Morton also hung on to his 6th place, Jamie Rosson in 7th. Top 10 completed by Julien Bernard of France.